State Representative Jim Struzzi joins us. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. And we have him in another studio this morning, and he is with us from the other studio. Jim, good morning.
Good morning, Todd.
It's good to have you with us here today as we talk about a number of different issues. Have you been in Harrisburg at all this week?
No, this week we have not. We were in the districts this week. Of course, the election was on Tuesday, but we will be returning next week.
Do you miss it at all?
Honestly, I have been there every week dealing with the COVID crisis, trying to pass legislation to get businesses reopened. In addition to other important legislation, you tend to get into a routine where you're used to going. Obviously, it's good to be home with the family, and I appreciate being here in the district. You know, I had the opportunity yesterday to walk around downtown a little bit and talk to some people, and I think it's so important to get that hands-on feel back here in the district. So it definitely requires a balance, and I think it's important, though, for us as representatives to be in Harrisburg to do the people's work.
I don't know that you had an opportunity to see or take part in the rally downtown yesterday, but just in an overall sense, as we have watched America have to deal with yet another senseless killing in our nation, and then reactions all around the world, some of them over the top. What are some of your thoughts?
Well, I think there's a lot of emotion and pent-up energy in our society right now. Not only because of the incidents that occurred, but also because of the COVID crisis, people being forced to stay home, not able to work, not able to open their businesses. So I think there's a lot of emotion right now. I think that the message has to be one of peace, of inclusiveness, of understanding, of compassion. There's a lot of people out there struggling right now. And I understand the issues and the complexity of those issues, but I think in Indiana County, we're good people. We have good police departments that care about our communities. We have good emergency responders and good people all around. And I think that all of us have to take a pause and appreciate each other, be kind to each other, and try to be more understanding of and apathetic to the causes of other people, so that these kind of things are a milestone for our society. But I think we need to move forward and to really be more forgiving and compassionate to each other.
Demonstrations across the nation and here in Indiana, and concerns, I think legitimate concerns being voiced about social distancing, physical distancing in the COVID-19 pandemic era as well. Those two worlds colliding right now, and there have been some folks who have been at rallies who have now tested positive, although they can't say for certain where they came in contact with coronavirus. But here we are, we're ready to go green, and folks are going to be getting outside, and there is always that danger, isn't there, that folks will think that everything's back to normal and we can go back to the lives that we used to lead.
Right, Todd, and I do hear that from a lot of different people. There are many different perspectives. Some people want to return completely to normal, but then there's also a population of people out there who are vulnerable, elderly citizens, those with underlying conditions. So I think we have to be respectful of everyone's needs. But I do feel like there's a great sense of positive energy right now with us going green tomorrow. I think everybody's ready to get back to some sense of normal life. Get out and patronize our local restaurants and socialize. But I do think we need to be respectful of the health concerns of others. But it is good that we're going to get back to some level of normal life tomorrow. With that said, though, I think, and I've had a lot of different discussions, we do need to continue to move forward, and we do need we can't just let this stuff go under the rug of some of the decisions that were made. So I do think that in Harrisburg we will be conducting some hearings on the COVID response and make sure that we don't have to go through something like this ever again.
So Indiana County goes green tomorrow. Your thoughts on what's good about that and whether it is expansive enough? Just what does going green mean for you from the state lawmaker's perspective?
Well, there's a lot of different perspective on what green means. To me, it means that businesses can safely reopen. People can get back out in the public, socialize with each other, practicing, whatever you're comfortable with, whether, the social distancing rules, et cetera, or wearing some sort of protective face I'm trying to get away from using the word mask. I think we should call it a
protection, face protection,
something like that. But to me, I think it's exciting because people are so ready to get back to normal life. We have been working so hard in my office for these past couple of months, trying to help people navigate the unemployment compensation system, trying to put some rationale to why businesses were allowed to be open while others were allowed to be or forced to be closed. It has been very stressful for many people. So I think that we're finally getting to that light at the end of the tunnel, and I think that's great for Indiana County.
Concerns about a resurgence of the virus now that folks will be getting back into more contact with each other, and how the state will react the next time.
Well, I think that you are seeing the virus continue to decline, the positive cases. Here in Indiana County, we never really saw a surge. And so I do understand the concerns with that, but I think that as we get more into summer, as the air, the days become warmer, people become more acclimated, I think it's going to continue to decline. In my opinion, obviously, I'm not a medical professional, and I understand the concerns with the resurgence, but I don't think that's going to occur. I think we've weathered the storm, and now it's time to get back to some positive energy, some positive news for people in our community.
Boy, it is interesting to watch the science, though, isn't it? Because the science community is having a difficult time grasping everything. The report came today about the hydrochloroquine and how all of that information about hydrochloroquine last week was absolutely false, that the studies that showed that it's not effective, all that data was faked. It's important that we have accurate and trustworthy medical information, isn't it?
Well, it absolutely is, Todd, and I think that's where people get frustrated. No one seems to have a clear answer. The data has been misleading at times, and people are frustrated with that as well. You go to these extreme measures of forcing people to stay home, of forcing businesses to close, and then you don't even have real or accurate data about where the cases are, the level of intensity, what does COVID-related mean. There's just so many misleading types of information out there, and that's why I think people here, particularly in Indiana County, became so frustrated over the past couple of months because people were struggling. People were not able to feed their families. Even this week, we still have people not receiving unemployment compensation after all this time. Many businesses that closed are not going to be able to reopen. And that I think, without having good medical data, it just builds to that frustration, builds to that anger. And you're seeing a lot of that bubble over right now, and I think it's unfortunate. But again, I want to emphasize, I think that we have to stay positive. Good things are coming. I think you're going to see pools open up. Hopefully we get back to having some fairs and festivals and things like that where people can get together safely. I'm real encouraged that I know the resiliency of the people in Indiana County and the care and compassion that we have for each other here and the love for our communities will shine through this.
Yeah, I know Indiana County Fair Board met last night, but they've not announced a decision yet. Cambria County already canceled theirs, so those are imperiled as well. So you mentioned you're going to be back in Harrisburg soon. And you also said that not only you're working on this particular issue, coronavirus and COVID-19 and our state response to it and all of that, but there are other things happening as well. So what do you anticipate coming in the coming weeks in Harrisburg?
Well, I can tell you, Todd, that we're going to be addressing a serious issue for Indiana County on Tuesday. As you're aware, and many people are, but I don't think enough people are, that the governor, throughout this COVID crisis, has continued to push for the regional greenhouse gas initiative. And that's the multi-state pact that basically is a carbon tax on the emissions that come from our coal-fired generation plants like in Homer City, et cetera. And this will kill our coal industry. It will kill our energy industry here in Indiana County. It will cost us thousands of jobs, thousands of taxpayer dollars that go to our school districts and things like that. It will raise our energy costs. It will drive the energy businesses to other states. I've heard from people just this week saying that if the governor moves forward with RGGI, Homer City Electric Generation Plant will close next year. That's a serious concern, and I think everyone in Indiana County should be concerned with that because it will destroy our economy. So on Tuesday, I have a bill, House Bill 2025, that will regardless of the environmental impacts, it basically says the governor cannot make a decision like entering a multi-state pact without first going through the legislature, without first allowing those people that represent the people of Pennsylvania to have a say in this. And thus far, that has not occurred. Two DEP advisory committees have voted to not move Reggie forward, yet the governor continues to move it forward. And to me, that is not fair to the people of Indiana County. That is not fair to the people that I represent and to the thousands of people that will lose their jobs. So on Tuesday, that bill will be voted in committee, the House Environmental Committee. So that's one of the big things that's going to happen this coming week, Todd.
Now, while that is aimed at Reggie, it sounds as if that's a much broader bill as well that will address other governors in the future and other issues. Is that correct?
Right, and I think it also speaks to some of the things that we've seen happen here during this COVID crisis where the governor has exercised extreme power without involving the legislature at all. Many of the decisions that have been made were not vetted through the legislature, were not even discussed with the legislature, and it makes it very difficult for us because we represent the people. So you're making these decisions in Harrisburg that affect everyone across the state, yet you're not asking for the opinion of the people that were elected to represent those people. And that, to me, has been very frustrating. We should be working together. We should be, one government helping the people, and that has not occurred during this crisis. And as you can see with the whole Reggie thing, that's not occurring there either. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, the governor should not have that level of extreme power. And that really concerns me when one person can make decisions that affect the entire Commonwealth without discussing it first with the House and Senate.
Dispute arising over the governor saying that he would veto the disaster declaration bill should it reach his desk, and with the House counsel saying, you know what, the governor doesn't have that power. That's not a veto eligible piece of legislation. What is the clarity on that?
Well, that's a point of much discussion within the House. Our legal opinion is that because it is a concurrent resolution, meaning that the House and the Senate both pass it, that the governor does not have the power to veto it. So the House is in session next week, as is the Senate, and I believe the Senate will be taking up House Resolution 836. And I should note I've heard from a number of constituents with concerns about ending the disaster declaration. The bill was amended so that basically all it does is allow all businesses to safely reopen. It still would allow all the other responses that have occurred related to the emergency to continue, including the federal funding and items like that. But we'll see. If the House or the Senate does approve it next week and it goes to the governor, we'll see how he reacts. But I think it speaks volumes when, once again, you ignore the majority of the people in Pennsylvania and simply unilaterally veto something.
Couple of moments left with State Representative Jim Struzzi. Anything else to look forward to in Harrisburg next week?
Well, there's always plenty of things to look forward to in Harrisburg. I know we're going to be in session next week, and then we're home again for a week, and then back the following week, trying to get a lot of key bills in place. There's still a lot of things that need to occur to help people get through this COVID crisis and the impacts, the financial impacts. There's a lot of rules and regulations that we still need to tweak to help people survive, because a lot of people are going to be suffering. Even though we're going to be going into green here, businesses still have a long way to go to recover. A lot of people will not regain the money that they've lost. And so we need to continue to make sure that we're pushing Pennsylvania in the right direction to address all of those needs. I really, really have concerns for the long-term mental health impacts this is going to cause our society. A lot of people are struggling. Think about people with abuse problems and things like that. We need to make sure that we have protections and resources in place to address all of those needs as well. And those are some of the discussions that we'll be having here moving forward. I think it's great news that the county received $7.5 million from the CARES funding. we need to make sure that that money goes to the right places. And I know that we've been in discussions with the county commissioners on how best to utilize that money. Yesterday, the Department of Education issued some guidelines for our local school districts, and Senator Pittman and I did a conference call with all the superintendents, some school board members, principals from school districts in Indiana County. There needs to be some additional clarity about reopening our schools and how they handle things like social distancing. So plenty of things to discuss in Harrisburg, but I do think right now we need some positive energy in our society, Todd, and I want to lead that.
He is State Representative Jim Struzzi. Thanks so much for coming in to visit with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, have a great day. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160 and 101.1 FM to 101.1 FM to 101.